What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So for today, we're going to make one good victa mower out of these two. So what we have here was one I pillaged for parts quite severely a while back. It was a very much base model, no plastic grips on the handles to fold them. It was just plain green powder coating too. They were an awful looking mower. Basically the exactly same as a more expensive one, just didn't look as nice and didn't have such things as like these comfort grip handles. So this engine, after I stripped the exhaust off it, I realised it has a brand new piston in it, brand new rings in it, and it actually looks very good. In the ball, you can still see cross hatching on it. So it was a rebuilt motor shortly before I got decommissioned. This one, however, is a different story. It's sat outside for a long time. It's going to be our parts mower. Like, it's seized. We've already taken the ignition coil off it. We used that in the previous video, so it's just going to be spare parts. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to start off by swapping these handles over because that's a quick and easy task to knock out of the way. One screw, half-inch bolt at the bottom here. Throw that tank away because it's like hideous. Take that one off. We'll just throw these handlebars and go to scrap. I've got enough spare sets, so I'll keep the bolts. Bolts are always handy. People lose them. There goes that nut. Right. Right. Righto, straight over onto this one. Now these, getting the first bolt in can be a little bit tricky because they do just, yeah, this one just fell straight through. So find the hole, let's get the nut started on it, go to the other one. Right. Done. Right, catch a flat. Oh, where'd that spring go? There he is. Righto. Started in there. Right. These can be a little bit tricky to get on, especially if you haven't done them before, but there's plenty worse jobs to do, so. It's going into the second hinge now, so we'll just send her all the way in. Bit of forethought. I would have brought a hammer up for that, but anyway, that's beautiful. So while we're going here, might as well attach this air snorkel. I'm going to reuse that one. It's still got, this one just had a sticker label, sort of deteriorated and come off. Does that washer want to come with it? So don't worry about the washer. So, now the blades are already good underneath this machine. I checked it earlier. They're almost new. So the whole machine's done very little work since it was actually reconditioned. So, all right. Now we'll move on. Pillaging some parts now. I'm going to have to go and turn the camera off and go and get my impact driver to get these buggers out. So they're rusted in there pretty well. So we'll come back in a minute. Alright, so we had to drill out the screws holding the cowling on. They were just wasted in there. If you belt on it too hard with an impact, you do end up cracking the starter housing. So hopefully I'll be able to loosen those off. That's just the sort of stuff that happens because the tops of the screws are exposed. Leave the mower out in the elements, and you know, the water gets into the top there and just sits and sits and sits, and then it runs down the threads. But I've got a good lot of thread here to work on to try and get it out. So I'm pretty positive I can do it. At least get 2 of them out. Then even if I drill the 3rd one all the way through and put a nut and bolt, or tap it out to the next size, any of the above, I can get a usable starter. These starters aren't cheap to buy brand new. They're quite expensive. I've never bought one brand new because I've seen the price of them. They're over $100, so that's why I try and rescue all those second-hand parts that I can. That's why it makes sense. I think I paid $10 for this mower. I'll get the exhaust off it for that one. I'll get the starter off it for that one. I'm going to reuse that fuel tank. I'm going to reuse that handlebar. There's plenty of stuff there that can be used. Let's see what sort of a mess this engine is inside when I get the starter off. That's just very dry. I wouldn't say rusty even. I'll have a look. Has been run without oil on the fuel. As you can see, the little blow-by past the pistons put burn marks on the conrod. Should explain why it's a bit stiff to turn. I'll take this exhaust off. Hopefully it comes out without breaking it off. We'll see. Sort of a bit hit and miss. Yep, this one's going to come off good. So we'll repaint that as well. And come and have a look down this exhaust hole, Alan. You can see that piston's just shot to shit, so this engine block's trash. I'll keep the carburetor off it. Got to keep the decompressor off it as well. I'll use that in another mower. Other than that, that engine block has had it. Starting off a bit better. Let's do the top and we'll give it a quick coat of paint. A little bit of rattling in there, but it's a good solid muffler. So we'll go across the new parts again. I think these run around the $30 mark. Righto, I'm back in a minute and we'll put some paint on this. Some high heat paint. This isn't a necessary step, but makes it look a little bit nicer in your for sale ads. Yeah, I don't don't know how I'm going to go with that starter. I just tried getting one of the stuck bolts out of it, but wasn't going too well. Anyhow, let that dry, we'll come back, paint the other side of it and put it on. Bit of a slap job, that'll do. That's not even a genuine Victa muffler, but anyway, I don't know who made that one. Looks good enough. Right, let's go and do this starter. Alright. Got that much rope. Just quickly burn the edges over. That's a bit hot. Of course, easy ticket. Right. There we go. So, I'll pull this old one out. I'll put my knot in it to start with this time. Now I'm thinking of it. There we go. Right. Rope's ready to go, so take the old one out. Quite a bit of tension on this spring. Anyway. Righto. You put that in the bin in a minute, darling. Mm-hmm. In we go. And they're starting off. Which I just grabbed out of the spare parts pile because I didn't actually have one on either one of those mowers. There we have it, one starter, ready to go. Alright, so I've had a look at this O-ring here and it's actually in quite good shape. So I'm just going to reuse it. So, goes that way around. I couldn't get that bolt out at all. I'll sort of bored a hole through it and I'll deal with it later. That one came out. That one came out. So 2 out of 3 is not too bad. That one just was not having it. A little bit of rust in those threads, so I'll just warm them in slowly. I've already sprayed the holes. This one went straight in, as I was talking in the last video. You know, it just didn't quite push straight in, so every casting's different. This one's from 95, so a little bit newer. But it's actually got the older ignition module on there, so who knows. Alright, I'll wait for the paint to dry on that muffler. We'll see what we can pillage off what's left of the old mower. So, this was what we've kept off what was left of the mower. You've got your bar that goes between the front and back axles. Kept the front axle, it's in perfect condition. Usually they're bent. Back wheels, didn't worry about the rear axle. The shafts were a little bit rusty, but the back wheels were still good. Got them off in one piece. That's all that's going to waste now. That'll go for recycling with the scrap metal. So virtually nothing's going to waste. Alright, I'll put this muffler on. I think I should have waited a couple more minutes for the paint to dry. Anyhow, not to worry. I like to sit it on. I like to get this bottom clip on first, not always possible. Can be a bit of a prick. That was quite easy that time. Beautiful. Right, now get this top one on. Top one. Can be easy with pliers. Can do it with a screwdriver though. There we go. That'll stay on there. Just bump it across a fraction so it's nice and straight. There we have it. Now, I need to go build a carburetor. So it's a couple of days later. Unfortunately, I had to go back to work for the week. Anyhow, we're up to this stage. I thought I'd quickly check for spark before I worried about sticking on the carburetor and putting it all back together, and there is none. So unfortunately, a bit of a bugger. Tried different couple different plugs, no dice. So I've checked the ignition module here. The connection's quite firm, so I'm going to have to go in underneath. But while I'm here, we'll quickly clean up this rust on the side of the deck here and put a little bit of fresh paint just on this side. Simple. Hopefully it's just a loose wire on the ignition coil. Because that would just be so simple. Alright, now we'll flip it back up. And have a look. Alright, so there was a bit of crud sitting there on top of that wire. Not sure what it was. It fell down in there somewhere. Someone's replaced the ignition module before. You might pull it back off and clean up its connection because they didn't rivet it on. They've just used a nut and bolt. The first things first, I pull this coil off and clean it up. And we'll just check it after I do each thing to see what the problem was. I really hope I don't have to pull another mower apart just to get the coil out of it today, because they just suck. I'll just grab some emery cloth and clean up these connections and we'll be back in a minute. Alright, so I've just unbolted this ignition module here. There's a fair bit of rust on the back of it. I'll bet the module itself's alright. I think a lack of connection here could have been our issue. Maybe, maybe not. But anyhow, I'll clean it up and test to see if we've got spark again. Alright, so I've replaced this ignition module. The old one didn't look like it had anything wrong with it, but there was a touch of rust up towards the bolt hole here that's leaked out of the unit itself. And once I've replaced it, it actually gets quite a good spark. So we'll adjust this camera. Hold it like that, sweetie. I don't know if we'll be able to pick it up on camera, but we've got nice blue sparks now, so that's beautiful. So I'm going to sit this engine off to the side overnight. It's quite poor weather today, as you can see. We'll come back tomorrow, but I'm just going to quickly wire wheel and clean this base up and leave it to dry overnight. So I've just given it a quick coat of green paint over all the rusty sections. Just gave it a quick wire wheel first. Anyhow, while that dries, we'll go for a drive. Righto, let's go and have a look. Oh. Oh, nothing at the tip today, so let's just get this motor quickly refitted. Now we can build a carburetor. So here's our carburetor we're going to build. It's pretty disgusting at the moment. I had to go and get another primer bulb off another machine. That one looks like it's in one piece with a bit of luck. There's our tub for putting clean parts in once they're clean. So before I actually pull this carb apart, I think I might just give it a clean on the external sides of it and get the bulk of this rubbish off, then we'll strip it. Alright, so just got the bulk of the rubbish scraped off our new primer bulb. Now to disassemble this carb, got a little bit of the crap off the outside. Just don't want to block the filter and the parts washer for no reason at all. So our spring's nice and clean from the inside. We'll leave it in the clean parts bucket. That's good to get scrubbed. Our washer, down in the clean parts bucket because it's nice and clean. Oh shit. Yeah, we'll leave the diaphragm alone. Other governor spring. Little lifter, we'll leave that alone as well. So all the inside is very clean, which is good. A lot less work for me, but the outside obviously needs some TLC. We might add a idle washer there. Some of them didn't idle too well, some of them did fantastically, so I'll just add that part anyway. Is there a broken primer? That's right, darling. We'll throw that in the bin in a second. And it's got an aftermarket needle, which can go in the bin. Probably an aftermarket primer then. We'll keep the float, we'll chuck him in the spare parts, because I've already got one out in the clean parts bucket. Righto, so all we've got to do is go and scrub these through, and we'll be back in a minute. It's just diesel running through the parts washer. For the most part does a pretty good job. Quite expensive to fill it up, but you just sort of run it through a filter every so often and clean all the gunge out of the bottom, and you can reuse it over and over and over. It has some pretty good cleaning properties. So once it starts working its way into that oil and stuff that's on the outside, stuff just starts coming straight off. So just for example, our primer bulb. Oh, look at that, it's beautiful. No harsh chemicals needed. Right. Back. That could be our clean parts dish. Even though the dish itself's not very clean, but that'll do. Alright, that's clean. This is mostly clean. Not too fussed if there's a little bit of crap left on the outside, but it's just got to look better than it did. So I can check it for cracks before we assemble it. Just looks like it's pretty good carb. Sometimes they're snapped off here, or they're starting to snap off. This one's good, so there we go. Clean enough, and this back cover. Crap is falling off that. Also, these have a habit of getting splits in them too, so it's just worthwhile checking around this edge especially. See if it started crack and look on the inside of it. There's no cracks on this one, so it's a good unit. Alright, I'll go and dry these parts off and we'll start assembling. Alright, first thing I like to put together is the primer housing. Don't know why, something I've always done. A little bit of water in there, won't affect it. So we're going to run it for a good solid while when we get it going. So there's two holes here. One doesn't go anywhere, one goes to the little brass bit for the fuel inlet. Pointy end of the needle in first. Sit our float on. It's easier. Just flip the carb body upside down and sit it on so you don't have float go everywhere. And sort of adjust it so it's almost level. Can you see that one? Now it's the right way up. You just want that line that's on the cover as horizontal as possible. Won't show up particularly well. Alright, Next up, get the poppet valve in there, go straight through the hole. You want this the letter C on it, facing the primer cap. Right, what do we got next? Got our throttle cam, it's got a little oil on it. Oops. Right, slide him in. You want it in the stop position, so that's when the bit where the throttle cable clips into it is facing the snorkel, so it can take a bit of wiggling to get in there. 1 second. So there we go, there's a bit where our throttle cable goes in. Also worth checking, we'll pull it back out for a second, where the cable goes in that it's not snapped out. I've had a couple like that before, and then you spend half the day trying to get the throttle cable to seat and stay seated, and it just won't happen. Alright, you've got a little lifter here, this side down. Right, simple. Little governor spring, simple. And get that bit of hair out of it. Alright, dog hair. Diaphragm, make sure he's nice and flat on there. Slip your, I call it a washer, whatever you want to call it. Make sure your poppet valve's still lined up with the letter C on the primer. Now, down here, really want to make sure this diaphragm is going to seal good against the housing. If you don't, you have an air leak and it doesn't govern. It either revs its guts out, has throttle issues. Sit our bigger spring on there. Now the air hose that goes to the bit on the near the flywheel on our crankcase sort of needs to come from that direction. So, and then we go. I'll just fix that up a little bit. Actually, it's not quite straight. Best way to make sure that diaphragm's sealed, just try and pull a vacuum on this little hose here. And that's working fine. So, we'll go and fit it to the mower. Alright, refit our carb. Go. Put it down to the run position so that way the throttle cable can't jump out. I'll put the might need pliers to get this one on. I like the wider spring clips that hold these snorkels on. Get them back in a minute.
It's still filming.
Oh. Righto. I like the wider spring clips they put on these, because a little bit less tension on them. Come on, you bastard. Put him off to the side a bit. put these kill switch wires in. Pretty simple. Or always put a little bit of WD-40 or similar on there. Just help those kill switch rubbers slide in. I've reused an old one here because my latest batch of them didn't work very well. The outer boot was okay, but the inner one was the wrong size, so someone buggered up when they made them. Anyhow, right. Now with this one we're actually going to put some new fuel lines on it and vacuum hoses, so I'll go and get the vacuum hose stuff out and we'll cut them up and fit them on. First fuel hose, well it's all fuel hose, so I'm just going to call it fuel hose. There's one for this governor as such. I'm just going to use up some of these offcuts kicking around. That goes from the flywheel area there, little barb sticking out of it, up to the back of the carburetor on the diaphragm cover. Next up you've got decompressor vacuum line. It's about the right length actually. Beautiful. Yeah. No, I'll be right. Okay. Chuck here. Cooling shroud on. You need to make a fuel line up. I should have grabbed the old fuel line. This is what happens when you go on eBay to buy some Victa fuel hose when you're a bit under the weather. End up with 100 metres of it. Old fuel hose, I've thrown it in the bin already. It's not that one. Could be that one. No. That's that one. Alright. That's just all shrunk and had it. So we'll just make the same length as the old one plus, say, a centimetre. You know what I say? Right. Check our fuel tap out. It's actually got a chunk missing out of it, so I'll go and get another one. What a pain in the neck. I thought we were all ready to go and just keep recording until this thing was running. Second-hand fuel tap. This one hasn't got a big chunk missing out of it. Make sure I can blow through the filter first though. Might be a little bit difficult, it's wet with oil, but once a bit of fuel hits that, she'll start flowing. Don't want to over tighten these, it's only a plastic thread going into that tank. You just want it to seat. You can, there, it's about as tight as you want it. Nice. So we'll put that fuel line on there. You want it to run over the top of the carburetor and around. If you run it under it, you have some fuel flow issues because they're basically just gravity fed. So you want it to run over the top of the carb like that. That'll work quite well. Then we get this plastic cover. Plastic cover, I've lost a couple of screws. Not to worry, I'll find them after. That's tucked nicely down into there. I'm missing these two screws, and that one there is wallowed out in the starter housing, so I'm happy to have 2 out of 3 screws in it. That'll do it. But for a test run, it's together enough, so I'll go and get our fuel can and we'll put some fuel in it. We're almost out of 2-stroke fuel, so we're going to have to do a 4-stroke one next. I've got a couple of them coming up. Alright. Yeah, that much will do it. So, we're going to get fuel flow? Not yet. Sometimes blowing back through the fuel hose will help clear the oil out of the filter, because it can get quite sticky. We've got a little bit of fuel flow now, which will be enough for our first run. And as that oil that was stuck in the filter washes through, we're not going to have an issue. A bit of a shame I haven't got the screws for there. I don't even know where I put them. How many pulls?
4.
4? I reckon I can do better than that. Maybe not.
4 or 1 or 2.
Just check we've got fuel going in. Fuel flow is quite slow at the moment. Can't hear it priming like I usually can. Doesn't mean anything. Sometimes our float gets stuck too though. Alright, on the start position. Almost. We have a little blockage on our jet. Come on. Alright, we'll stop, pull the jet out, see what's happening with it. Alright. So after a little bit of mucking around, I found there's a little bit of dirt lodged in behind the primer cap, where the fuel line comes in and goes into the needle valve. I was barely passing anything, so there we go, it's all clear now, it's passing heaps. The screw is covered back on. Where's the screwdriver? Sort of explain why I couldn't hear the clicking I expect when you're priming an engine, or priming one of these. So, now, even our new fuel tap's leaking a little bit and it's damaged some of this paint, but not to worry, we'll replace it after. I just want to take it for a run now and just see how it goes. How many pulls this time?
1 or 2, maybe 3.
Oh.
How many do you think?
I reckon we'll go first go. Not quite. idea to turn your fuel tap off when it's went, just as the engine stops. So we'll go and find some of those missing screws and button it all up, and we'll take it for a spin.
First
Hot
try.
start. Doesn't always go to plan. Anyway, ended up with a good result at the end of it. It's always nice when things just go first time around, hey? Anyway, our next one is going to be a little bit retro, I suppose. Don't know a lot about it. I bought a garage sale with a couple of older engines a while back, and it's just been sitting there. I want to get it running so I can get it out of the way or scrap it if I have to. Thanks for watching.